This is the Daily Dribble podcast. I'm your host, Nick Zammit. Here joining me on a very special episode is Mr. Liam Hancock.
Going on, guys? Lee here.
And a man whose kind of half smile is probably not an accurate representation of how he's truly feeling, Mr. Roy Hancock.
Hi, guys. It's a somber day.
It's a very somber day. Stop smiling then.
No, you've got to put on a brave face. But yeah, it's been a tough day, and I don't really know how I'm going to go today. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I'm in my feels at the moment. So yeah,
Hard on the sleeve. Look at that. You know what I love from you? You're still repping the team. You know, in the face of a demoralising loss there, the finals, it's all but gone. The season's over. Pack her up, boys. And you are still repping the Beantown boys.
I have to rep the Beantown boys, and I'll get into something shortly regarding team pride.
Team pride.
And just something that I'd like to get off my chest, but we'll get into it. We'll get into the rest of the episode, but there's something to look forward to there.
Who would have thought the lid stayed on the whole time?
What? I said to blow it off.
What did I say the whole time? The whole time I said the lid is not coming off till I see the green confetti coming off.
Oh, that was mine.
I took it.
Took it and ran with it, and here we are. So no confetti.
We've got champions, though.
We do. What a week it's been. What a day it's been for not only us, but the NBA community as a whole. A massive day for both franchises, win, lose, or draw. A massive episode for us. This is kind of almost like the culminating point. Not of our season. Our season goes to the start of next season, but the NBA is officially over for another season, lads. So we've got a lot to break through today. Before we get into it, though, a quick shout out to the Spotlight Sports Network, Pop Culture Pros, and the cover, guys. A big shout out for all your continued support throughout the season. It's very much appreciated.
Absolutely,
guys. The season might have just finished. The season is officially done. The NBA, NBL basketball. What a massive hole we have in our lives now.
Yeah, it's a void, isn't it?
The action and the news will not stop. So be sure to stay up to date with all of our socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn for all the latest news from around the league, as well as subscribing wherever you listen to the show. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We certainly appreciate it because the news will not stop.
Comprehensive.
We're like clockwork here, aren't we? Just 247, 365.
Got that down to a T. Well done.
It's a good feeling when it's just autonomous.
Just rolls off, yeah.
So, guys, we're going to get into some quick odds and ends from the NBA, the NBL, where they're just going to recap everything finals from game 4, 5, and 6. Just discuss, the future and the outlook for both teams and just everything that's, everything finals related.
Absolutely.
We then have our final installment of Draft Deep Dive.
Ooh, sad one.
How far are we going?
Oh,
are we diving deep?
Diving very deep.
For our last installment.
Mate, right in the Mariana trench. We're going way down there.
You going second round?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Real deep. Get the Coast Guard.
Far out.
So we're looking forward to that with the draft set to take place next week. So a lot to look forward to, guys. Without further ado, though, let's get into some odds and ends. Let's start with some Hornets news here, Lee.
Okay.
You repping the Hornets there? You want some Hornets news?
Yeah, I want some Hornets.
It's been a while since we've had a bit of talk about them.
Lee's ears pricked up.
You want to start with the good news or the bad news? I'll give you the choice.
No. You always start with the bad.
Bad news.
The bad news. Bad news bears. So, bit of news has come out during the week that Montrezl Harrell,
Big Trez.
Trez has been charged with drug trafficking after being caught with 3 pounds of marijuana found in his car, charged in Kentucky there.
Yep.
He's looking at possibly up to 5 years of jail time.
What? How much is 3 pounds?
3 pounds, you're looking at about 1.5 kilos, I believe. About a kilo to 1.5 kilos.
On that side hustle.
So big Trez is not going to be hustling much anymore. We'll certainly keep you guys up to date with all that. If you do use drugs, use them responsibly. Our little message and plug there.
I didn't understand the seriousness of it.
Yeah, no, it's big. He's in a world of hot water at the moment.
You just wonder, I know it's easy to say from afar, but you just wonder, the guys who are in the NBA.
Hold on. Is it?
No, it's not that one. It's not that one.
It's not that one. Hold on. Where's the soundboard? Quick. You know the one I want, don't you?
Yes, the sounds have been modified, so they actually won't be on there, Nick.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Stay off the damn weed one. Ready to go.
Stay off the damn weed, Montrez. Sorry, Nick. What a week to change the soundboard.
That was perfect. That's like the moment we've waited to use that one. But Big Trez horrible news for you
Yeah,
guys
he's
because
in hot
the
water.
centre position is an area that you guys have struggled
Yeah.
for a big part throughout the season, and this certainly doesn't aid in that. But we'll certainly keep you up to date with what happens with Trez there. Certainly hope for the best for him.
Yep.
In positive news, though, you now have a head coach.
Yeah, I'm happy with this.
Kenny Atkinson was last head coach with the Nets. You've signed him on a 4-year deal.
Yeah.
Happy with this one?
I'm happy with this one. I think he's shown his ability as a head coach in the past. And I didn't hate James Brago. I actually quite liked him and how he was developing our players. It was obviously his time had come to an end. And I'm very happy with Kenny Atkinson filling his role.
Well, he's got credentials, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, did you see what he did with that Nets team, taking a non-entity to a playoff team? Jared Allen developed them, Spencer Dinwiddie, all these young players that he kind of brought through the ranks as just an ultimate underdog team. So he's got great pedigree in developing players and getting the most out of them.
He's been the assistant coach for the Warriors, hasn't he? So, coming off a championship run as well, what better time to get a head coach?
Yeah, there you go.
Happy.
So how do you feel? Do you feel with those two bits of news, the scales are balanced evenly there?
I'm a bit sad that Trez is in
Big
hot
Trez.
water, but
sad.
it balances it out a bit.
Looking forward to seeing what this team can do, though. I think Kenny Atkinson is certainly the right man to go forward with that. I know there was other talk about Mike D'Antoni and really doubling down on that offense-first mentality.
Yep.
But I think having Atkinson there will just kind of balance up the offense and defense there.
Yes.
So looking forward to that one.
Did we see recently some news regarding Zach LaVine?
Did see this one.
Now, we were mentioning the other week that the Chicago Bulls are in a lot of trade talks at the moment. There's been talks of potentially acquiring Rudy Gobert, but we were mentioning that if that were to happen, then they'd need to hold on to one of their existing highly valuable assets in Zach LaVine. It's looking very likely, according to Jake Fisher from Bleacher Report, that he
reliable source, Jake,
very reliable, not just not one of these
clickbaiters,
Reddit reporters, but Zach LaVine probably will be re-signing with the Chicago Bulls by all reports. So
big ups for Apex. He'd be
loving that.
He'd be loving that.
He'd be over the moon.
I'm not counting that as a guarantee until it happens.
It's not a guarantee.
Until the fat lady sings A-Lee.
Because the amount of time we've brought some news of this is probably going to happen, and then it goes the complete opposite direction. It's happened far too many times. So until he, re-signs, definitely,
I think it's the right move. 27 years old. If he goes somewhere, I think he's almost a one. What would you say? He's not a number one. He's like a 1B.
He is a 1B. Yes. But I think the thing is, and I think the reason why I think he will re-sign is because he wanted to be the leading guy, right? And the only other team that could offer him a contract was the San Antonio Spurs. And he would have been their leading guy, particularly offensively. I guess they've got DeJounte Murray as well. But from all reports, he wasn't happy with where San Antonio would have been in terms of their rebuild. They've still got a while to go until they're climbing back up those Western Conference standings. He stays in Chicago, still gets an absolute bag. DeMar DeRozan, in the twilight of his career at the moment.
On the back nine.
Back nine, love that. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for him to stay, still have the opportunity to lead the franchise or be that 1B at the very least. And contend for a championship.
Because he got a taste for it this season. The first time he's tasted, postseason action. Once you get that little taste for it, you want more. You want more. It's after what we've just spoken about, it's like a drug, isn't it?
Yes.
But you just want more. So I think for him, this is the right move. I think the Bulls are building in the right direction. And I think keeping Zach LaVine's a huge aspect of that.
Likewise.
Speaking of trade news, a little one, then a big one.
Bigger one.
I'd say a big trade.
I'd say a big one.
We'll start with the little one, but with draft night just around the corner, we had the news breaking that the Thunder are going to receive JaMychal Green and a 2027 first-round pick. And with that, they'll be exchanging with the Nuggets. The Nuggets will receive the 2022 first-round pick, the number 30 pick, and 2 future second-round picks. So, it's not a huge move.
Brings some, from my point of view, it just brings some veteran presence to a young OKC team, which I like.
Little concerning though, I know it's a salary, saver there for the Nuggets. With Porter Jr., Murray, Jokic, all on those massive contracts, freeing up a bit of space and reducing the luxury tax there.
Yeah. Yes,
I think it's almost a negative that they're doing this. I think it almost signals if you're a team who really want to compete, really want to go for it, luxury tax isn't an issue, as we've seen with the Warriors. The largest tax bill in the league just about. I think if you're a contending team, money's out the door, you go for it. So
I think so as well.
And the picks they're receiving are really just non-factors. I think it's good for the Thunder getting that first-round pick. They're giving up the number 30 pick in this year's draft. 2 future second-round picks doesn't really dent their war chest.
Although, do you know what the Nuggets might be thinking? Where did Nikola Jokic get picked up when he got drafted? I reckon that was mid-second round.
Yeah,
they might be thinking, we've got another Jokic here. We'll give up Jermichael and take
We'll get another Jokic. If they can pull that off, fair play to them.
Fair play indeed.
A small trade, nevertheless. We'll move ahead to the bigger trade that broke yesterday.
Yes.
The Dallas Mavericks receiving Christian Wood, and in exchange, the Rockets receiving Bojan Marjanovic, Marquise Chris, Sterling Brown, Trey Burke, and the 26th pick in this year's draft.
Yes.
Now, that is a significant trade.
Well, this is a huge trade. This is a huge trade, and I think the Mavs have absolutely knocked it out of the park here.
Yes.
They're getting a center, 26 years old, averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and shot 39% from 3 last season. He's a budding superstar, I think. I see that potential there just with his skill set. Only concerned to sometimes his effort, his lack on defense, certain locker room issues, but I think that's situation-based.
Yep.
I think now, going from a bottom feeder to a contending team now, I think he's going to thrive.
Yeah. Look,
the Mavs gave up nothing.
They
This is outrageous. They literally gave up jack all.
Chips.
They gave up 4 non-rotation players, and what was it, the 26th pick in this year's draft.
Yep.
What do you guys think of this one?
You'd love it if you were Christian Wood. I tell you what, going from the Houston Rockets, you said concern factor was his effort levels. That's because he was on the Houston Rockets. Now you go into the Mavs with Luka Doncic. I don't think we've seen Christian Wood in a position where he's paired alongside some actual talent. And I don't know if Christian Wood is in
James Harden, not talent.
I don't even. He was at the Pistons when Harden
wasn't he there for a season?
No, it was Clint Capella, I think.
Maybe. Even if James Harden was there, though, like James Harden was that ISO player. There was no dishing off, distributing. Imagine playing with Luka. I would argue and say that Luka's probably the one guy, or top 3 at least, that you'd want to play with in the league.
Yeah.
And there's a name, I know we spoke about quite extensively Boston this season, probably the Hornets, getting that big man, but a big man who can stretch the floor. And there's a name, like we spoke a lot about Miles Turner, probably being the big name. Christian Wood, I think, is just going to fit perfectly into this team.
Seamlessly,
Gave up nothing. I guess on the Rockets side, the only thing I can see, they're in the rebuild, but they've just gone that step further. We didn't see that much game time of Alperen Sengun this season. Their pickup in this year's draft, so we'll see an increased responsibility for him. And they've got, the number 3 pick in this season's draft, who's most likely going to be a big man, whether it's Holmgren, Banchero. It's looking like they'll acquire another big there. So going all in on that front and just line up with the Jalen Green timeline a little bit better.
Where does this place Dallas, in your opinion? Does this place Dallas as, were they already legitimate contenders, or do you think next year with this addition that they've gone to legitimate contenders in the West at least?
I think, this is a tough one. I think they do go to legitimate contenders. I think Luke is that good. I think Brunson, if they can keep him, I think that's the big piece. Like, I think keeping him is a must, and I think they will pay him. I don't think Mark Cuban, his pockets aren't shallow, so I think he'll step up to the plate and pay what's needed to keep him. And like this team, the sky's the limit, I think.
What about you, Lee?
It's a tough one. I think they're probably another piece away.
What piece?
That's what
another shooter.
Well, they
lockdown defender.
Maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the piece. I think they're another piece away, though, nonetheless. Because you look at the 2 teams that were in the finals this year. They were, top of the league. I think they're another piece away. But it's definitely the right direction, in my opinion.
Bro, like it?
Yeah, I absolutely love this trade. And you are spot on in terms of saying that the Dallas Mavericks, like, this was the piece that they desperately needed. They needed that elite big man. And maybe he's not not in that top tier, is he? Right now, but he's got the potential to be really solid for them, particularly on a good team. Just getting on top of those, I guess, mental issues, the discipline, the lack of effort, as you were referring to, Nick. I think if he can get on top of that, he could be like a 23-12 type player regularly.
Oh, yeah.
And that alongside Luka Doncic spells trouble for the rest of the league.
That's scary. That is scary. I'm looking forward to seeing how that combination works.
Me too.
for the Rockets, the only thing that, last night we put a post up this morning, actually, it was about this trade. Go check that one out if you haven't already, guys. Just in regards, I was trying to think of ways that this kind of makes sense for the Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
And in theory, I see the idea of, increasing Sengun's responsibility, giving more time to this draft pick. They could have still done that, but waited a month, waited 2 months, and got far better packages. They just jumped at the first offer that came their way that was absolute garbage.
The thing that I'm thinking was it potentially just like a matter of getting a guy who wasn't toxic, but added to that disruption in the locker room and disruption among teammates? Do they want to just get the team chemistry on the right track as soon as possible?
Get it done.
I think that's potentially what's happened. But in saying that, you're right. Like, they did jump the gun. They probably could have got much
decent package or some decent assets in exchange for Wood. But
gotta say,
we never know.
I'm gonna miss the. Well, it was the European 3. Now it was the European 2 after Pawsey left. Now it's the European 1. No Bobby and no Luka.
It's a little bit sad. Do you think just on the Rockets that these guys will stay with the team?
No.
They'll be moved on very
chance.
quickly.
I was just thinking just then Boban won't stay.
Get Boban to the Lakers. Little backup center.
Wouldn't mind that.
Wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Let him just take up the brunt to getting the boards. Save LeBron and AD's body a little more so. But
he loves the big market teams.
Yeah, he does. I'd like to see that one play out.
Yeah.
Lads, do you have anything else from the NBA?
Nothing from the NBA, no.
Let's move ahead to a couple of quick points from the NBL. The news during the week, I guess the big bit of trade news between teams here was the news that the Wildcats have signed former Breakers player Corey Webster on a 2-year contract. He's a super fun player to watch. He really cooks. He's now 33 years old, but he's shown over the last few seasons his ability to score and be that outside threat. In the 2019-2020 season, scored just under 20 points a game, as well as 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Now, in a 10-minute quarter, that is solid output. Yep. Brings a heap of championship pedigree as well. He was part of the Breakers three-peat between 2011 and 2013. So, and quite a rivalry they had with the Wildcats at that time. So, I think he's going to be a perfect guy just to complement Bryce Cotton there as well. There's a lot of teams who are going to be improving next season. There's been a lot of movement,
sneaky acquisitions over this offseason when you probably won't actually understand, I guess, the impact until the games actually start next season. But that's a biggie.
Big key signing, I think, for the Wildcats because they need that piece to help that running mate with Cotton. So looking forward to seeing how that one plays out.
Yep.
On the Jack Jumpers front, we had the news break today that
I'm going to stop you there, Nick.
Please.
I've got to set the mood for this.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
I tell you what.
Please proceed.
Hey, well, I tell you what. I hate to see what the other two sounds are like. They're pretty depressing so far, aren't they?
They're depressing, but for good
reasons. But I feel like I'll never see the sun again.
That's okay, mate.
It's not okay.
Let's say our goodbyes.
Our goodbyes go out to Josh Adams, our reigning best and fairest. What more can you say about this guy? He really played with everything on the line. Playing like this, like as we just alluded to, like there was going to be no tomorrow. And also losing Kyle McIntosh there. So, fellas, how do we feel about this one?
That's devastating news. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's like we knew it would happen, particularly when he, we were hearing rumors that he was getting offers from China. Love the dramatic fade down of the music as well.
Not very subtle, though. You've been doing the same position for about 7 seconds.
That's a real slow fade, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's a real slow fade.
It's no laughing matter. But I think after we heard that he was getting significant offers from China, we all thought, well, his time in Tassie is slowly but surely come to an end. And it's really sad because he was the guy who got you through the turnstiles on a weekly basis down here in Tassie. He's a guy who could
ticket item,
hit big shots. He was man of the moment. And then obviously Mikhail McIntosh, Big Merv. Yeah, we heard a couple of weeks I think ago that Big Scotty Roth said that they were going to be offloading him. So that wasn't as much of a surprise, but still quite sad news to see the back of these two, particularly JA.
I had the opportunity the other week, came into the store, had a bit of a conversation, shook his hand, Mr. CEO there, Simon Brookhouse.
Yep, love that.
Had a bit of a chat to him, and he said the big kind of thing that they were targeting at the minute and working on were the imports. So watch this space. We'll certainly, see some names starting to come to the forefront there, but, huge losses. Be great. It's great to have Josh Majette back signed on.
Yeah, that's a big
Will
one.
Magnay, healthy, ready to go, fit and firing, with that NBA, NBL experience. Huge piece there. I think we'll be back there, but it'll be interesting to see who these imports are.
Do you know what would be absolutely sick? And I really hope this doesn't happen.
What?
JA wouldn't go to another NBL franchise, would he? He's not. He can't do that to us. He wouldn't do that to us.
The only thing I can see happening in a world is probably the Kings. That'd be Jalen Adams potentially leaving, and Josh Adams comes in.
I wouldn't mind a swap.
No, I don't think the reigning MVP will be coming down here.
No, I don't think we have the money to accommodate Jalen.
I expect him to head over to China, I reckon.
Yeah.
Money talks. You got a limited time frame on your career. So
say he did go to the Kings. Is he your enemy now? Or is he...
No.
Okay.
He'd still get a round of applause, but there'd be a bad taste in your mouth if he went to any other NBL franchise.
Yeah. That's a funny one because he did so much and we grew so attached to him. You kind of think, can you really hate our inaugural best and fairest winner?
So if he went to the Shanghai Sharks, he'd still be one of our boys, wouldn't he? But if he goes to the Kings, he wouldn't be an enemy.
I tell you what, the Fifth and Dribble boys would become bigger enemies.
No, wouldn't be having them back on the Shark.
No, absolutely. So, we've thrown out the warning there, fellas, but just let it be known if Adams goes to you guys, we're cutting all ties.
Yes, absolutely.
Fellas, excellent. Let's move ahead and discuss some NBA finals.
The Daily Dribble.
Wow. Where do we begin? The Warriors take it today. Their fourth title in 8 years, sixth finals appearance in 8 years. They really are. There's no other word to describe them but a dynasty. This well and truly, if there were any doubts in anyone's mind about using that word, this has surely put it to rest now. Steph Curry claims that elusive finals MVP award.
Yes.
So very, very well deserved. Let's start it. I think we started with game 4 and to quickly recap what happened.
We'll do that.
And then we'll recap everything at the end. Now,
I'm reliving bad memories, but go ahead.
Now, I tell you what, this series could be split in two halves. Up until the last quarter of game 4. Yep. Before that, everything before and everything after. Before that, the Celtics were well and truly favoured.
Had the ascendancy.
2-1 up. Things were looking good. Could have well and truly gone 3-1 up.
Yep.
That fourth quarter completely blew it. We're outscored. How's this? The last 5 minutes, they scored 3 points, went 1 of 8 from the field and 1 of 7 from 3. They really held control for the most part of the game. But the Warriors back into that game, a 17-3 run, and just at that point, it was kind of like, that was the one. That was the one that got away. You get 3-1 up, as we spoke about. You're nearly there.
Yep.
You're nearly there. The odds certainly are well and truly in your favour. Wiggins was big in this one with 17 points, 16 rebounds. But it really was all about Steph Curry.
Yeah. Yep.
43 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 of 14 from 3. And that was the point. I wrote down a little point here. I had, at that point, the Warriors won 2 apiece. And I thought, even if the Warriors lose, he could still win MVP. If it goes 6 or 7, I think he could still be finals MVP. Yep. Now, here's a bit of trivia for you lads.
Trivia.
There's only been one ever guy who's won the finals MVP on a losing team.
On a losing team.
One ever. Do you know who it is?
One ever. Jeez. Oh, I don't. Is it?
And I'll give you a clue. This series, please. He played on a team who played against the Celtics.
Kobe.
No.
Magic.
No. I'll give you a clue. 1969, the first ever finals MVP.
Jesus.
1969. Who
iconic.
Is it?
We still see him every time we watch a game.
Who is it? Who is it?
Jerry West.
Big J.
Big Jerry West, the first ever, finals MVP and the only one to win as a losing player. But nevertheless, Steph Curry didn't lose. Game 5, the Warriors winning that one, 104-94. Weird game. The Warriors held control for the most part outside of a third quarter rally from the Celtics.
Yep.
Tatum 27, 10 and 4. Big game. Brown 18, Smart 20. Curry, how's this one? After the heights of game 4, he had 16 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, yet went 0 of 9 from 3. The first time in his playoff career that he hadn't made a 3.
That's a big stat.
Wow.
Huge stat.
Wow.
Yeah. Doesn't happen, as we've seen, doesn't happen very often, if at all.
And this was the game that kind of got away. It was an 18-6 turnover count. Another one that, to be honest, they all feel like games that got away. But, the turnover count was the one that really mucked up the Celtics and was, a recurring theme. 18 turnovers to 6. The Celtics won the rebound count, had twice as many free throws. Warriors went 9 of 40 from 3, and yet they still won by 10.
Still won.
It just shows to me their finals experience, and it shows the Warriors' composure in big games towards the end of the season.
Even when everything isn't going their way.
And to be honest, like sometimes they might even prefer that. They might even prefer the backs against the wall because they've got a few big personalities on that team who would thrive when they've, almost been written off or they're, have adversity against their name. But having the experience in big games over the course of their career has been really invaluable. And we saw at times throughout the course of some of these games, particularly with the turnover numbers for the Boston Celtics, even their big dogs were sort of overawed by the situation, and it was plain and obvious to see.
Do you want another fun fact real quickly?
Give us another one.
This was game 5, so we still had game 6 today. Before that point, Jason Tatum actually broke the record for the most turnovers in a postseason.
Not good, JT.
At the end of game 5, 95 turnovers across 23 games. And we'll touch on that a little bit in a moment. But for this game, it was the bench that killed them.
Yeah.
They were really playing 5 men because their bench, outside of garbage time in the last minute, White and Williams combined for 4 points, whereas Poole and Payton combined for 29.
Did the damage.
A 25-point difference in, normal time was just horrendous.
Yep.
And again, was a point I'll mention in a moment, but the bench for the Celtics after game 1 has just completely and utterly shut the bed.
It's really disappointing because I guess Derek White prior to that was a guy who we thought could have a big impact in this series.
Grant Williams against the Bucks was huge. And it's
Grant
just
as well, yeah.
gone to sleep at the wheel.
Yep.
Transitions to game 6.
No. Wiggins had the best game of his career in game 5. Don't you
give us
dare
some
move
Wiggins
on.
love. All right, give us some Wiggins love.
At least I think he had the greatest game of his career in this game 5.
It was phenomenal.
He saw that Steph Curry wasn't being his normal Steph Curry self, and he stood up and he wasn't. It's not like he was even doing anything out of the ordinary, Andrew Wiggins. I think he was doing what he always does, but to a very high level.
Higher degree. 26 and 13 in this one. Phenomenal. And what a coming of age kind of series this was for him. And again, another player we'll speak about in a moment. Game 6 today, the Warriors win 103-93. This game, it started like a house on fire, and I thought the Celtics were on hot. They went out of the gates.
14-2.
14-2. How's this? After that point, the Warriors, to end the first quarter and to start the second quarter, went on a 21-0 run.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That was effectively it. Stephen A brought out the ski goggles and the champagne. He was ready to go in the second quarter. From that point, the Warriors really controlled the game. A little third quarter rally from the Celtics.
It was their last push.
Push wasn't enough.
Late, boys.
Jalen Brown, 34 points, 7 rebounds. Horford had 19 points, 14 rebounds. Draymond Green,
big.
12 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists.
3 threes.
3 threes, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Absolutely incredible and by far his best game of the series. The finals MVP had 34 points, 7 rebounds, and just really stamped his foot on this game as he has all series. Crowned unanimously finals MVP. So very well deserved. Long overdue. Fellas, let's talk about this. So as our resident Celtics fan wrote, tell us your emotions at the moment.
Mixed emotions, I guess you could say. Definitely upset that, we got to the finals, but we just couldn't get the job done. And, it's a hard pill to swallow, as I'm sure.
So happy that you kept that lid on because it would have made it so much worse had you have not.
I could have never taken the lid off. I wouldn't have been able to come back on the podcast.
Yeah, me too.
My lid was well and truly off. My lid was off for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it was. But then at the same time, I look at it and I go, look, the Warriors, as you said before, using the D word, they're a dynasty, and this is a once in a sort of generation type team. And to go down against the Warriors, it's you can still keep your head high if you're the Celtics.
Yep.
The other reason I can sort of take it is the fact that we've still got plenty of upside. The Celtics, like we look at our star players, and they're probably a few years away from hitting their prime, really. So we look at Jalen Brown and Jace Tatum. They've still got so much upside, so much potential. They'll learn from this, as a lot of the superstars and legends of the game have when they've gone down in a series. But all credit to the Golden State Warriors, because they have come back from, I guess, the bottom of the pit and crawled their way back up with their superstars returning, and to win the ultimate prize again. It's just an unreal effort.
I think that's why this championship hit so hard for them. You saw Steph in tears before the game had ended. It was because 2 years ago they weren't even sitting at the bottom of the West. They were sitting at the bottom of the league. And to come back, when you fall off that horse, it's hard to get back up. When you fall off, you have these injuries. Your whole supporting cast leaves. To come back up, get back on that horse and win another chip. This is why it was such a big championship for these guys.
And I think, just from hearing other reports after the game and from myself, I think this does enhance everything else that they've achieved so far. Because you look at what happened in that series against the Cavs. They, people could argue, okay, Kyrie went down, Kevin Love went down. Okay, they kind of almost got an easy one, even though it was against LeBron. Okay. Then they won with KD. Right, well, you had KD. The deck was stacked in your favor, but they did it now. They've come back from the bottom as low as you can go against all, obstacles thrown in their way, coming up against, the best team arguably in the league in the back half of the season, the best defensive team in the league. They've gone through it the hard way and they've come out on top. So I think it just elevates everything that they've done and adds so much to Steph's legacy as well.
I love that about Steph as well, because yes, they came up against the best defensive team, but Steph came up against the depoy, and for the majority of those games,
didn't even feel like he was depoy.
He did not look like depoy, did he, Marcus? But that just goes to show the absolute greatness that is Steph Curry.
Couple of points on Curry. Let's do some Curry talk here. Chef's cooking.
Go ahead. Right.
Nick. What do we think now? We'll do it quickly and we can probably touch on this later. Don't need your whole top 10 list, but we spoke about this a few weeks ago with the guys from the Fifth and Dribble. The big number, 4 titles. 4 titles now, adds that finals MVP to the list as well. Is he a top 10 player?
Yes.
I think that people... I'm saying yes, and you say your answer, and then I just want to say something on that topic.
Yes.
He's a top 10 player.
Here we go. Lee hates the top 10s. He hates it.
No, I just want to talk about this for a second, because people that were waiting until Golden State won and Steph Curry to win his finals MVP to put him in that top 10 list, I think are just stupid. If you didn't have Steph Curry in your top 10 before, winning the championship, you're stupid. He was doing not everything for that team, but he's obviously the biggest factor as to why, they won the chip this year.
Okay, big boy, let me throw some questions at you too in terms of players over. Do you have him over Tim Duncan?
I do.
Yeah.
Completely different players, but I guess in terms of top 10 most influential and best basketball players, yes.
Larry Bird.
Oh, over Birdie.
This is hard.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah, I won't put him over Birdie.
TBD, because his career is still going.
TBD indeed.
Okay, here's one. Last one. Kobe Bryant.
No.
This is what I don't like about the top 10, trying to place other people over other people, because they're different. They're different players.
This is tough, because I'm a Lakers fan. I do.
You have him over Kobe?
I've got him over Kobe.
Yeah,
well, this is the thing with top 10, isn't it? It's subjective.
It is very subjective indeed. But for Steph, you know what I love as well? Even that game, he had 16 points. What he does for this team is so much more than what he puts in the box score.
Yes.
Because the gravitational pull that he has on offense, like getting double, triple teamed, like he garners so much attention. It just frees up Wiggins to have the game he did, Thompson, Draymond, all these other players. I'm trying to think if there's a player in the league who kind of warrants as much attention as he does.
Listen,
absolutely not.
I don't know if you saw, but pretty much every play throughout the whole final series, you had to guard Steph Curry as soon as he crossed that, the halfway line.
Yep.
I saw Marcus Smart face to face as soon as he's crossed the halfway line, and that just opens up so much space for the other 4 on the floor to, open up. Clay's open for 3. Oh, God,
I wonder, you know how in footy they show how far the players have run over the course of the game?
Yep.
I reckon Steph would be up there because I think he does a lot of his work off the ball. He does a lot of his work running to spaces, exhausting his opposition player. That's probably the one major thing that he does that doesn't show up in the box score. Just the running off the ball, getting to spots. But as you were mentioning, like not only does he run off the ball and get to spots, but he takes these other players with him. And it can often be 2 to 3 players depending on what kind of night he's having.
So you reckon he's doing a little Rihanna feet Drake number?
Rihanna feet Drake number?
What do you mean?
Work.
Little work. He's doing a little work.
Yeah. With Steph.
Yeah,
okay, so I just tell you what. Well, actually, I'll transition it then to the Warriors as a whole.
Yep.
Is the dynasty going to continue? What happens now for the Warriors? Looking ahead to next season, are they still there? Are they still the team to beat?
That was one of my questions. Is this the start of another run? I think so, because you look at they've got their core, their dynasty core, but then their supporting cast too.
We said it last week, and we said it. What do we say at the start of the season? They're in the perfect position in I guess in regards to contending now.
Yeah,
and having those players for the future as well.
Yeah.
Like they're in such a good spot. You think it's going to continue?
Yeah, their supporting cast is so young. You look at Jordan Poole 2 years ago.
Any moves you need to make then, you reckon?
No, their front office is great at developing players, their coaching staff.
Shout out to that, Joe Laker, owners, the front office, everyone as a whole, this whole organization, and it comes back to that Nuggets point. The fact is they spent the money. They spent the money and they reaped the rewards for it. You know, these teams that kind of try and avoid the luxury tax, you know, for what purpose? If you're owning the team, you're going for it. You want to win.
Yeah. What are you saving money for? You know?
But Ro, yourself, you think they're back there next season?
It'd be impossible to say that they won't be because they've really set the standard once again for a team that
I love it. I just love the way this worked out for them.
Yeah, it's a fairy tale story, isn't it? Really, the fact that they were up at the very top, fell all the way back down, and now once again climbed back up.
That's a ticker.
They've shown a lot of heart indeed.
Before we speak about the Celtics, last question on Steph Curry. What was the better celebration? In the third quarter, the old ring finger, point to that, or the fourth quarter, go to sleep, it's over?
It had to be the third quarter ring point.
That's early to call.
For the fact that it was in the third quarter.
That is an early call, and they got it back to, 8 to 10 points. It could have really backfired, but he knew.
The one that really put a dagger in my heart, though, was the go to sleep in the fourth, because that was when I think everyone was of the understanding of what was going to go down.
It's just a weird fourth quarter. Again, the bench was horrendous for the Celtics in this one. White, Williams, non-factors, really. I was surprised that they started that fourth quarter. They didn't have Tatum and Brown on the floor. I think you've 12 minutes to go. You got 12 minutes to save your season, to win a championship.
Why are you on the bench?
Saving that 1 or 2 minutes wasn't it. Lots of opportunities in that fourth quarter, a lot of missed tips. And again, it was the turnover count in this one. Offensive boards let them down. So for the Celtics, moving forward, what happens now?
Well, I don't think they're going to be making a hell of a lot of changes over the off-season because, I mean, at the end of the day, their regular season, particularly since the new year came about, was incredible. Both defensively and offensively, got to the finals, and I don't know, were they favourites coming into the finals? I'm not quite sure if they
were. I thought
86 to 14 or something, wasn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know about that.
Was that ESPN?
Yeah,
I believe it was, which was absolute bollocks.
Yeah,
that's come up with that number is just on a different planet.
Yes, I'm with you. But I don't think they're going to be making a hell of a lot of changes over the off-season. There might be a slight tweak.
Possibly Horford moves on, maybe?
I think he'll stay. I think Horford will stay.
Do you need to bolster the bench? Because you were playing with 5 blokes.
I think you do.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
But in regards to the Brown and Tatum situation, Brown, was a lot more consistent, I think, and showed a real aggression at times that was slightly diluted. Those spin and drives were just a turnover fest.
Yes.
But, he played with it all, whereas Tatum almost looked subdued and, he was very, very ordinary, and for the most part of the series got outplayed by Andrew Wiggins.
I feel like this will almost be the turning point for Jason Tatum in terms of he's going to go from, as you said, being a subdued player at times, particularly in the big moments, to a guy who is overly aggressive and, has a killer mentality, particularly in
you
the
reckon
fourth
this
quarter.
is the one to really spark it?
I think you'll come across a lot of Hall of Famers over the course of their career, and they probably met a sort of fork in the road to a certain extent. Do I keep playing as I have been playing, or do I, fix these obvious weaknesses in my game and go to the next level? And I think that's what he'll probably do.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Lee, do you think they make any moves or need to address anything urgently?
Well, I don't. I pretty much agree with Rowe, but in the talks of our Horford, I don't think he'll be playing a majority of the regular season. You bring him in when he's most valuable, and that's towards the latter end of the season and the playoffs. So someone's going to probably have to fill that big role. But that's all I can think.
How about
of.
Rob Williams next year? Hopefully coming in healthy.
That's a big point as well.
That's a huge one.
That's a huge point as well. That certainly didn't do you guys any favours whatsoever.
Yep.
There's a lot to build on, and they're getting there, aren't they? They've taken their lumps, a couple of conference finals now, made the finals now. They're edging closer and closer. I've notoriously bashed on the Celtics, as I have to as a Lakers fan, but
Yes.
I just think they're possibly a move or two away from being in. I don't know if this iteration of the team, they took it up to the Warriors, fair play to them. I just don't know with the way the league's going if they're quite there yet. Like if I look ahead to next season, I think they're not in that top tier of teams.
If you're Brad Stevens in the head office, what changes are you looking at over the next season then?
I think you need more off the bench. I think I don't think they've done enough developing the players like Peyton Pritchard.
No.
Naismith, these other guys, they were really playing a five-man rotation because Derek White, well, let's say a 5.5. Derek White was here and there. Grant Williams was non-existent. It just wasn't enough. So I think they need more.
I'll tell you what else they need.
A few more hitters and a few. I think they need a wily veteran off the bench because that's what. Before you go there, sorry, Lee, but the Warriors' depth, they were able. Like Steve Kerr was able to throw so many different options and schemes and different lineups out. Bielitsa came out. Gary Payton came out. Iguodala came out. Yeah. Poole still coming off the bench there. Looney coming off the bench at times, starting Otto Porter, if not coming off the bench. Kuminga, Moody.
Steph was coming off the bench at some points.
In that series against the Grizz, wasn't it? Coming off the bench, what they were able to do, even in the finals, play such a deep rotation and just enable, Andrew Wiggins was playing 44 minutes a game, but Steph, high 30s, gives him time to have a breather, whereas the Celtics just ran out of steam.
They did.
Good for the first couple of games, ran out of steam.
Yeah, I was going to say the Celtics, I don't know if you agree with me, but they are missing a floor general. Marcus Smart isn't a floor general. And I wouldn't say Jason Tatum or Jalen Brown is, and it's not their job to be. But I think they're missing someone to facilitate their whole offense. I'm
looking forward to doing a few trade, fire up the old, our old mate, the trade machine, and, we'll certainly do a season recap in the coming weeks. But take nothing away from them. Second half of the season, they were by far, like they looked dead and gone. We had written them off well and truly. November, December, they looked awful.
They're probably it was early days, but they probably were at about 12th in the East or thereabouts, and we were thinking there was just no
Celtics
upside.
were nowhere, and the Hornets were flying, and I were like,
right.
We're living in an alternate reality.
You can never read into the first few months of the season, but it's an incredible story how they turned it around, but an even more incredible story for the Golden State Warriors, how they've reclaimed the ultimate championship.
And quickly, just Ume Udoka there, first season as a head coach, he will, making the finals, he will grow, develop. He'll be better prepared next season. So, no doubt the Celtics will bounce back.
Do you want a throwback talking about you can't trust the first couple of games of the season?
Would love one.
I remember when I thought the Washington Wizards were going to the finals after that.
You can't.
I can't even remember who started. Because Bill was out, wasn't it? And they had all these other guys stepping up and bowling out. Yeah, the Knicks were up there. What a weird season.
It happens
I can't wait for a season review. It's going to be
I have a question in terms of the Golden State Warriors and a player in particular. Was this Andre Iguodala's last game in the NBA?
No.
I
reckon he comes back. Warriors team, just that bench guy. Won't really play. He's almost like a Udonis Haslem now. But I think what he can bring off the court, huge.
Yeah, I was tempted to say no there, but I think you've raised a good point. I think he doesn't necessarily need to have much court time. He can just be there for leadership, and when he needs to come on for a few minutes every now and again,
he's there. Guys around who have been to the big dance, and I know Steph, Draymond, Clay, all of them have been there now, but having that guy, that stabilizer.
I was looking at some of the post-game interviews and talking about leadership on the Golden State Warriors. And like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, all mentioned Andre Iguodala first when they were talking about, who they went to for advice and, to help improve their game and get them out of the dark.
Every team needs someone like that.
They do. So I hope he stays. The only reason I think that might be the end for him was because Steve Kerr brought him on for like the last 30 seconds.
Oh, I think more so maybe just because he's been a part of it since the start, getting that to end on court with the boys he started it with.
Perhaps.
I said interesting thought.
I said earlier in the episode that I had to get something off my chest.
You did.
I mean, it's been 45 minutes and I still haven't got it off my chest. So
have at it, big fella.
It's a new segment that I've come up with. And I might actually, I was thinking about this, I might actually integrate this into next season as well. It's called I'm in no mood. And that's when something really annoys me. Let's just get the opener.
I am having a very bad day. I'm in no mood.
I'm in no mood. Now,
I like it. Here we go. This is fun, and he's even got the intro music for it too.
I've got the intro music ready to go.
It.
What aren't you in the mood for?
This made me so angry. Now, I have many pet hates. I have many things that annoy me.
Yeah.
One of the things that really grinds my bloody gears is when people who don't actually follow an NBA team and people who don't actually really follow the NBA, and you find it more from Australians as opposed to people in the US.
What is it? Where are you going?
They tend to only post a story or a post on Instagram
so true.
when the team that just won the championship won a championship.
Facts.
And the caption is normally, "We did it, boys."
Yeah.
Oh, God, it grinds my absolute.
Do you want to name drop anyone?
We're not name dropping people. You know who you are out there.
Ooh.
There's a few people out there who I'm looking directly at. But that is absolutely disgusting.
I'm with you. Yeah, no.
These people are generally the people who jump from team to team depending on who wins the championship.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
No. Well, Lee's different because he's gone for a team who's been god awful this year. So
he signed a contract. In fairness,
he did sign a contract.
Not god awful.
No, not god awful.
Can I back you up? Because I agree wholeheartedly.
Yes.
I hate it. That's one of the bits I hate most as well about the culmination of the season. You see all these little people come out of the woodwork who don't care at all.
No.
Didn't watch a game, probably didn't even watch any of the playoff series.
And especially the Warriors, I think that they won because they're just riding on the coattails.
Oh,
and they're one of those teams that people just flock to.
I saw a good half a dozen, I reckon, after the Warriors won. The people who I know for a fact don't really follow the basketball and don't really follow a certain team.
You know what would be great next year? If somehow, by the grace of God, the Detroit Pistons win the championship.
Oh, yeah.
All these people come out.
Yes.
Motor City's back. Here we go. Like
it's revving up. It's absolutely. I'm glad I'm not alone there because throughout the course of my day, I was angry enough as it was that we went down. Actually, I was sad, but then it culminated into anger because I saw these posts, I saw the stories. I was like a red flag to I know you do not go for the Golden State Warriors. It was exactly like that, Nick. Red flag. And where's my red flag? But anyway, absolutely disgusting, and you should be ashamed of yourself. So.
And a segment, give us the name again for us.
It's a working name, but I think for this week, I'm in no mood, and I think I'll be bringing a hell of a lot more of these next season.
I like it. I like it, mate.
It doesn't even have to be like a designated segment each week. Like just something grinds my gears, I'm bringing in I'm in no mood.
Yeah, I'll bring it back periodically.
That's good from you, and I love the effort that you went for the inaugural installment to have the theme music ready to go. Fair play to you.
Leave it till last.
Let's move ahead. We
Dribble.
could no doubt spend hours upon hours discussing everything from the NBA Finals, but we better move ahead because the NBA draft is next week. Last installment of Draft Deep Dive.
Last one.
We know to swim with the big boys. Lee?
I'm swimming in not the kiddie pool end.
He's up to his ankles.
No,
You
I'm
haven't
up,
been much of a swimmer over the last few
I'm up
weeks.
to my shoulders.
He's
You're
up
just
to his shoulders.
working
That's
on the
pretty deep.
tan and the beach bod, not so
Yep.
much the swimming strokes.
Yep.
What have you got for us, Lee?
Who have we got?
I've got Big Mark. I've got Mark Williams. Anyone have Mark
What a
Williams?
white, basic, boring name.
I mean, fall from grace from Benedict and
You've gone from
Johnny
Benedict to
Davis.
Mark.
It might be a basic name. You said it's a white name. This guy is 7'2" out of Duke, and I can tell you he's not white. I'll tell
Okay.
you that.
Okay.
He's 19 years old. He's averaged at Duke about 11.7 rebounds, 3 blocks. This
Yeah,
guy,
big boy.
absolute anchor on defense, especially with his rim protection ability. He's got a 7'7" wingspan,
That's big.
7'7".
9'9"
dear.
standing reach. So
Okay.
whenever he's under the bucket, he's a defensive threat.
Wait, standing reach 9'9".
Standing reach of 9'9".
What's a hoop's 10 foot, isn't it?
Yeah,
Holy
he's
shit.
a big boy.
Mm.
Offensively, his finishing is outstanding. He's an
Okay.
absolute lob threat. If he's under the basket with the ball, he's absolutely throwing it down.
Mhm.
And I'd say he's probably one of the best rebounders in the draft as well. He can. I've seen him a lot of the time get it off the glass and put it back in, but he's
Yep.
also good at just giving those second and third opportunities to his teammates. Now we've always got to talk about the downside
We
and the
do.
things that need improvement.
Mhm.
Because of his size, he's not the fastest guy on the court. And when it comes to switches, he tends to struggle, especially on guards, just keeping up. But, if you're 7'2", you're going to struggle with that.
That is a big piece of wood there, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is some tall timber.
That's a huge piece of timber.
Not
A bit
the
of Hume pine, mate. We've got some of the biggest trees in the world down here.
Yes.
not the
Yep.
best passer on the team either, but given his position, you can't ask for much. But I do ask that he does the bare minimum. As long as he makes some smart passes, good timing,
Yep.
prevents turnovers, then he's doing his job. So in essence, defensively, I think whatever team he goes on, he's going to make a massive impact.
Yep.
It's a very strong finisher. He's a high-level rebounder.
Mhm.
Big Mark Williamson. Mark
Where are we
Williams.
projecting for this guy?
We're
How
projecting.
deep are you
We're
swimming?
projecting mid-first, and
Okay.
with the Hornets with the 13th and 15th pick, and we're short of a big man. Wouldn't mind seeing Big Mark over
That is
at,
a big man indeed.
over in Charlotte. Comparisons, I think he looks like a bit like Clint Cabela, Mo Bamba. I don't know if the sounds of that sounds right to you
Yeah,
guys.
So like a
Clint-
rebounding blocks beast
Yeah,
type
just
player.
Yeah.
Put it away under the rim. Who's
Yep.
that real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Clint's,
I can
Clint's,
see
Clint's I'm just working that through my head. Clint's probably a pretty good comparison there.
Yep. Big
Yeah.
Mark.
Big Mark.
Watch
can
out for the
Can he
name.
get down to
Mark
the
Williams.
courts tomorrow and change his name?
I
Like
know.
straight down to the magistration, get that changed into something fun, like
Wait till
Benedict.
you see him.
like
in the
another
league.
Benedict. In the
Okay,
league.
now we do love our nicknames.
We
What can
do.
we give Big Mark as a nickname?
Have we
Well,
got
Big
like,
Mark is a nickname. That's what everyone calls him.
Marky
Really?
Mark and the Funky Bunch?
Yeah, Big Mark.
Pretty good vibrations.
No, not Marky Mark and the Funks.
I
not
might
gonna
actually
catch.
start calling him that just because
Because
you
if
came up with.
if he goes to a team with like small players,
Yeah.
like he could put him around his arm and the Funky Bunch.
Yeah,
There they
I
are.
don't mind it. Yeah, it's a bit
Yeah.
left field, but I don't
Yeah.
mind it.
Imagine him as well, like Mark Wahlberg in the old underwear commercial. Does he have
Oh.
that spec on him?
I wouldn't
Good
say he
rig?
does. Oh, he's got it all right, Rick.
Okay.
But Big Mark, just leave
Big
it at Big
biceps.
Mark.
Big
Simple.
It's-
I
Well,
love it.
I was Big Mike, wasn't it, in the Blind
movie.
Side? Big Mike.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
not Big Mark. Big Mike.
Oh, sad.
Okay. Right, how deep are you swimming?
Sort of deep, not too deep, but deep enough.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of guards, and we've covered
Just quickly.
yes,
Shallow enough that you have enough energy to come save me. Like, do you have enough in the tank?
mate. By the sounds of it, you've got the full snorkel gear going down to the bloody bottom of the
Deep
Pacific.
scuba trip.
Oh
Yeah,
dear.
oh.
No, my balls are under, I reckon. That's about how far I am. As I was saying, like we've covered on this segment, I've noticed over the last few weeks, a lot of guards and a lot of small forwards. And it was only until Lee just then had brought up a legitimate big man
Yeah.
that makes his bread and butter under the rim
Yep.
and around the rim. Likewise, I have another big man who I'm really excited to see after looking a bit more into him. He's one that will probably go about 8 to 15 thereabouts. It's a fairly wide window.
That is a little nut tickler.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is a little nut tickler. By the name of Jalen Duran.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Have we heard of
Heard
Jalen?
that
heard the
name,
name.
but haven't
Heard good
looked
things
into him.
too.
So in his freshman season, he averaged 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks. So likewise with Big Mark.
Yeah.
He's a guy who is eating up the boards
Okay.
for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But he's got a bit offensively as well. Now, in terms of the offensive end, he makes his money with, I guess, finishing around the rim, as a lot of big men do. And he makes a lot of finish lobs.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's got a really good vertical. So he's always an option to finish sort of up and around the rim. Anytime he's within a few feet of the rim, geez, he's just making it automatic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, on the defensive end as well, back to that verticality that he has as well, he's just a threat every single time the ball's going up, because I think he's got a 7'5" wingspan.
What was your bloke?
7'7". So
Oh,
Yeah,
geez,
no,
that
that's
makes
good.
bloody Duran look tiny, but
what's his stand in reach?
I don't know his standing reach,
Bit
unfortunately.
of throwing
It's
in
not
reach
9'9".
talk.
Yes. So when I was looking online, it looks like Duran will be one of the best big men in this draft.
Mhm.
Like legitimate big men. They're all big men, but I'm talking like legitimate centers, guys who will, make their money in and around the paint.
Yep.
And for a team to potentially get him mid-first round would be an absolute steal. Not quite sure if he'll make it that far, but keep an eye on him. One of the other upsides for him is the fact that he's one of the youngest players in this draft, which means that he's got plenty of time to work on his game.
Got the frame there now. He can just iron out the actual skill set going.
Skill set, yeah, he's got a lot of time. Sometimes these bigger boys, as we've seen, take a little while to get going, and they might not hit their strides until a
grow
few
into
years.
their body, don't they? Sometimes.
We saw it with Giannis.
Yeah.
We saw it with Dwight Howard. He came into the league and got absolutely bullied, and then he turned into, for a couple of years, the best big man in the league.
He can't fit to a door, I don't reckon.
His shoulders.
He's got some shoulders
They're
on there.
massive.
Absolute massive shoulders. Now that's a nice boulder. But yeah, he's going to be impressive. Now I'll get onto the constructive criticism. Not much from me actually, but I think just the fact that from all reports he's pretty reliant on getting those lobs and getting those sort of in and around the paint baskets. His post game leaves a lot to be desired for a big man, from what I'm hearing. He's got the body, obviously, from what I've said, but he just doesn't have the skill set around his back to the basket.
Yeah.
Baby doesn't have back, unfortunately,
Not yet.
in Duran's case. So not yet, but plenty to look forward to.
Nickname Duran. Is that just?
That's
is
good.
That just,
I like that. Yeah, no, I'm
low
happy with
hanging
that.
fruit. You happy with that?
No, I'm happy with I'm very happy with that.
Yeah,
You've
good.
nailed it in one, hole in one. But yeah, Jalen Duran.
Excellent. Well,
JD.
Jinx.
Wow.
well, what?
That's a brother
I might just
telepathy.
piss off and get out of the way here. I feel like a bit of a dickhead in the middle now. It would have been great if I had said it. I feel a bit
What
left
about
out.
down the pod?
No, good stuff, fellas. Well, for me, I'm going for a player. This is by far the deepest. As I said, the Mariana
Oh.
Trench.
Going for number 60.
We're going for a player who might go undrafted.
Go and look for
Really?
the Titanic.
Jeez
Maybe late
Christ.
second round to undrafted.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. So he might not even be in the draft.
I'm going for a player I've seen live back
Yeah.
with that Usman Deng Australian NBL,
Yeah.
line.
Oh, my
Luke
mind's-
Travers.
Travs.
Big Trav from the
yes.
Perth Wildcats. Now, I think it's almost just injustice that he's been regarded this lowly.
Yeah.
I think it is really poor. He spent the last few seasons with the Perth Wildcats. Fantastic player. 20 years old, should I say, standing at 6'7", 207 pounds. So he's got a nice frame on him, but he's still quite agile as well. It's classified as a guard, but we've seen him play forward as well. So he's quite almost a utility player.
Versatile.
Versatile, absolutely. We love that. Saw a great uptick in all statistical categories this year. 7.8 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2.3 assists, steal and a block a game. Granted, he only played 22 minutes a night. So his stats, the points per game, all those counting stats aren't as high as, some of these college blokes playing more minutes.
Yeah.
But again, I take into great account playing in a men's league. I'm huge on this at the minute. We've seen it progress with players like LaMelo, Giddy, all these other guys plying their trade from the NBL into the NBA now.
Yep.
So I think that bodes really well for him. You know what I love as well?
What?
He's playing under the guidance of Bryce Cotton, arguably one of the best players in NBL history, I think that is nothing but beneficial, having that exposure to a player who's really at the peak level.
Elite shooter.
And it's awesome seeing that increased responsibility for him this season. He was invited to the NBA G League camp as well a couple of weeks ago, where he did quite well.
Making moves.
Coming up against Sharif O'Neal, all these other cool cats floating around there.
Yeah, right.
Not all got invited, so he made the cut. He was one of only 9 players to go 10 of 10 in the free throw drill.
Was he?
Which,
efficient.
Yeah, efficient. All the other shooting drills, he was, middle of the road, he was all right. But the free throws, you love to see it. So it shows that his technique's there as well.
Absolutely. It is.
Positives, let's use that. Great versatility. We're high on versatility, boys, so we love that.
You're most needed in the NBA.
And he's got good size. He's got great size if you look at him as a guard. Middle of the range, maybe slightly undersized as a forward, but he can play both, which is awesome. And he's quite quick and agile given his size, both laterally and up and down.
Yep.
Good explosiveness off one or both feet, particularly off the left foot. Very, 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 very proficient at getting up off that left foot there. Yep. Under the rim, he's a bit of a lob threat as well as exploding for the boards as well. And finishing at the rim. Like that's one of his best strengths. Saw that in person a couple of times this year. Saw him actually went with the work crew and he put on a bit of a clinic, him, Vic Law and Bryce Cotton there. Moves his feet well to get into position. As the primary defender now, I'll make that a keynote. As the primary defender, really good.
Yep.
Really good IQ, really good movement. Sometimes gets a little bit caught out when he's secondary or, I'll touch on that in a moment. Has a good shot set, a set shot, should I say. But that's the thing. Set shot being the key word, though. He has quite a slow release and isn't great off the dribble. Okay. But he's set shot, and it's something I saw an interview with him last night with the Pacers organization. That's something he's really tried to iron out in his last month or two over in the States, that shot and getting that up to NBA level.
Yeah.
And his vision's impeccable. His passing is quality, and he makes reads very, very quickly, even before the ball gets to him, and it's almost like touch passes.
Yep.
So he's got quite a well-rounded skill set. I think he's going to be a competent two-way player. At the minute, he's probably showing a little more on the defensive end, but there is a lot of room for growth there, which I like about him. On the things to work on, as I said, isn't great off shooting off movement. Needs to be a little more planted, what we've seen so far, but I think that's been ironed out in his last couple of weeks with teams. Needs to get quicker on his release, which is a big one. And again, all these, once you've got the mechanics, you can start to speed that up.
Yep.
So that'll come. And he isn't the best as a secondary defender. His handle's pretty loose as well. But with that, like as a secondary defender, he sometimes kind of gets caught ball watching. And kind of, again, another, I've mentioned that with most players, but they kind of get left on the backdoor cut.
Yep.
So when he's primary, quality secondary needs a little bit of work. And I think, these NBA, coaches and teams are going to be on his ass for that. They'll iron that out very, very quickly. So a player expected second round, 2 undrafted, but I think he's got a place in the league.
I've actually kind of forgot about Travers, but because I think I watched him in preseason.
Yep.
And
made his mark in the last finals, not this season, the finals before last.
He won most improved player the previous season.
Yeah, rookie, yep.
Rookie, was it? Yeah, it might have been rookie.
He got second this season.
That's right. Yep. But it just goes to show that he was making an impact in the NBL. And the NBL, as we've raved about all season, is one of the legitimately good leagues in the world.
Yep.
So if he goes undrafted, I think that's pretty stiff by Luke Travers.
And you can't not have a player in this draft who has a mullet. Like he has got
it's a non-negotiable.
He has got an incredible mullet on him.
Yes, he does.
So he's got a spot within the league.
And he's got a dirty mo to go with.
He does have a dirty mo as well, but I think he's been severely, severely underrated. And I think he could be one of the hidden gems in this year's draft because somebody's getting, nickels on the dollar there for him.
I agree. And boy, oh boy, did you go deep there, Nick.
Deep.
Far out.
Deep.
I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting potentially undrafted, but
Aussie love, you got to, and it's, I can just bear, I guess, a little more weight to it. As I said with Usman Deng last week and Travis this week, having seen these players in person, you get a little bit more of an attachment towards them. And also you get a better look at what they're actually doing on the court as opposed to watching the highlight videos.
Yep, I'm with you.
It only outlines the good stuff normally, doesn't it?
Yes,
So,
it does.
fellas, Draft Deep Dive has come and gone for another season.
Loved
The
it.
draft next week, we will recap all the news that comes out from that. Sure to be huge. Sure
When
to be
is
some trades,
draft?
some action.
23rd?
The 23rd today is the 16th, 17th, so it's next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. Cannot wait for that one, fellas.
Me too.
I guess for
been
yourself,
fun.
Lee, looking forward to seeing what the Hornets can do. Hopefully picking up
I
your
would be big
big Mike there.
Mark, but yes.
Big Mike. I got Big Michael Orr stuck in my head now.
It's Marky Mark and the Suns.
Sandra Bullock, and what a great movie. What a great story.
You'd be a big one for rom-coms, right, Nick?
I'm a huge one for rom-coms.
Yeah, bit of Matty McConaughey type
Yeah,
action.
yeah.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was thinking, no, wait, is Blindside's not a rom-com, is it? But no, I love Matthew McConaughey.
Yes,
You've read the
I know
book
you
as
do.
well.
I've read
So
some
don't
of it.
pretend you don't love him.
I love Matty
I love
McConaughey,
him.
but
What a heartthrob.
you're more of a 51st States kind of guy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
How to
God.
Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
Adam Sandler, I think.
Yeah, it's a good.
Yeah, no, but I was just referring
Oh.
to any rom-com.
Any yeah, I do love a rom-com.
Yes.
Favorite rom-com quickly?
Favorite rom-com? Wedding Crash is good.
Wedding Crash.
Wedding Crashers is my favorite.
Yeah, that is good.
That's just an out-and-out comedy, isn't it? What a absolute barrel of
Anything
laughs
with
that
Vince
is.
Vaughn.
Yeah.
Fancy Vaughn.
I can go deep here.
Jeez, yeah, that's a deep hole. I'm starting to
Yeah,
think
we're
of them.
starting to unwind here, lads. But what a massive episode. What a way to end the regular season, or to end the season, should I say. Ro,
Yes.
commiserations for yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a tough day. I won't lie. And
How many boxes of tissues? My guess, I reckon the over-under is 1.5. So I'll
Yeah.
say 2.
Yeah, you're on the money there.
On the money
Yep,
there.
Yep. Taking care of a
Excellent,
lot
mate.
of them.
You'll bounce back next year. Lee, off-season now. We're getting
Yes.
close to seeing our teams once again, aren't we?
We are. God, I'm excited.
Because
for
you
it.
guys have been in off season for a few
Mate,
months.
I
it
have-
feels like.
I've actually forgotten who is on our squad at the moment.
Yeah,
Like,
don't blame
you
you.
know the LeBrons, the ADs, but bar that,
Who's there?
everything else that's not nailed down, they're going.
Yes.
It's out of here.
Yep.
So we've got a new
Clearance.
coach as well. Yep.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Fellas, we look forward to breaking down everything next week from the draft. The news is going to be flowing thick and fast. Big I'm losing the pod. Getting late
We're over
here.
an
deep in the
hour, I
piece.
think
Big congratulations to the Warriors and everyone involved, all the
Yes.
fans, all the players. Steph Curry first and foremost,
Yeah.
because
He deserved that 7-minute talk we had about him.
he
really
well and
did.
truly did.
Yep.
He is another player, there's not many who have done it. Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, who have really transcended the game and altered the game. He's probably the one who's done it the most. Him and Michael have altered the game forever.
Yep.
Cannot take this guy for granted. Just the way he just puts up shots and
Just a
just
comparison between him and Shaq. What Shaq did in regards to kind of being such a force and changing the game as just being that big man at the rim
Yep.
who just dominated. You couldn't stop him. Steph's done the same for players, but 30 feet further.
Beyond the
yeah.
arc. Yeah.
I saw at the end of this finals game, Klay Thompson was dancing with Steph Curry and he said, "We make threes and win championships."
And that's all they do.
That's what they do.
I love it. Can't wait to recap all the teams, guys. Be sure to stay up to date with all of our socials. We're going to be breaking everything down over the off season. We cannot wait. Hope you enjoy it. Enjoy a bit of time off ball. And guys, from Lee, Ro, and myself, we'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.
Bye.